walked into the library.
All right. Here we are, everybody.
Okay, now, I've got to say here, Larry, everything here. This meeting is being recorded. Leave meeting on Goddess. So I push Goddess.
Yeah. Unless you want to leave. Sorry to make you wait for so long.
Okay, well, you got to understand, Maureen, I'm not a computer guy. Larry's trying to help me through this.
Yeah, none of us are really computer guys.
Okay, we're good.
All right.
We all had to learn it one time or another, you know. Yeah, so
I'm expert at pushing the wrong button.
That's me. That's probably what I did. Because I kept shutting.
I think he's winning the competition, but
Yeah.
but between the most savvy computer people, he's winning.
Whenever I tried
There
to
you
do
go.
anything, it would stop my video.
He's in charge.
So you know, there you go, right there. If you're winning.
So, welcome everybody to the Cheese Toast Talk Show. I'm not sure exactly what episode this is, but I'm going to have Maurice John Vaughn introduce our special guest.
It's big Dave McClain.
Getting bigger all the
It's in
time.
Winnipeg. I think
man.
he's
All right, thanks, Willie. Way to go.
I am
Oh, okay.
right in the middle. Middle of the country, middle of my room.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you bet.
Good to
Welcome.
see you, man. Good to see you.
All right.
Yeah, really good to see you guys.
So this is
Happy to be here.
An hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, it took us a while to get this thing to work, but we got it working now. So why don't you? Where should we start?
No, I don't have to. Just plug
Tell
in
us
the
a
wall.
little bit about what's going on these days.
Trying to make a
Right,
buck so I can pay my bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I did though.
Well, things are rolling along, still gigging
But
here and
more
there.
has to go on.
Got a pretty good summer lined up.
I don't know why it does that.
Off to the Calgary Blues Festival in a couple of weeks. Been playing,
So how did you
playing
find
a handful of
Brazil?
gigs here and there. Yeah, just mostly hanging around Canada though. I didn't quite make it to Brazil yet or
What were you
anywhere
looking
else.
at before?
So, but I'm doing okay. Yeah, things are going well. Lots of doctor's appointments, so I don't go too far.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
whose is that?
I don't know.
Just,
Well, it looks like we might be through this whole pandemic
Looks
thing.
like
It's
a
interesting to
hacker's
think
count.
about where we might be headed next.
well, with that, I think I don't think it's ever gonna go away. I think it's
Oh,
here
there's
for
ice
good,
creams
just
in
like
the world
any
fridge.
other pandemic we've had. It's gonna be around, but at least we know how to
Fridge, he
handle it better now.
Meant to say fridge.
I think. Yeah, I think the main threat is
Cool.
done.
This is
We're,
great. Thanks.
Losing everybody,
You
but
should have
there's still
seen me
people out
struggling
there
trying to
losing
get Dave on
COVID.
when I kept on
Yeah.
exiting my video. Wherever when you're
You
doing a
disappeared
Zoom,
again.
the
I
menu
know. I
comes up
lost
down
my
here,
video.
right?
Is Maurice still there?
All your
Very
stuff, so you just
elusive. I
tap
forgot
down
to
there,
tell you
and
that.
it
You
pops
know,
up.
he
So
don't
what
want
I
to tell
do,
you
I
everybody
tap down
that. He's
here.
a little elusive, you know.
And poof, it would close
You
my,
lose
shut
it,
off
Larry.
my
It
video.
adds to his
So I would
mysterious
disappear from the
aura
Zoom.
that he's
And then I
got.
found out
I
if I
don't know.
touched over here,
You know.
it
Yeah,
would
yeah.
have it.
So, but if even if he
I'll have to
does
get
leave
more.
the video part, we still got a little audio going. I'm sure.
That's true. Yeah, you bet. So I'm hanging in there. I'll just close my eyes and pretend I can see you guys.
There he is.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to touch the screen anymore. I don't want to screw it up again. I was just trying to get all three of our faces on to the screen, and I'm not sure how that works. Oh, what are you seeing on your end there, Maurice?
All three at the top. All
So,
three at the
with
top.
Maurice
And whoever's
here,
talking
he
is
said-
big
I
at
asked
the
him
bottom.
during the
You
thing.
know.
I said, "Where do you
Okay.
get your
Oh.
screen? Can you see?"
Yeah,
I
there
only
we
got
go.
me
He
and
says,
Larry.
"Yeah, I
Oh,
got
I
all
see.
three on the top." So for my
Interesting.
guys watching,
Yeah.
Maurice and
Because I don't
we
see
wanna look
Dave.
at your
The other
cameras.
guy,
What else you
Big
got in
Dave.
there, Larry?
Oh,
what the fuck is that?
I don't know. I don't see David,
Oh,
so
I thought it
I
was
guess
a
there's three
hot air balloon
little
taken off.
circles at the bottom.
So he
which
got all
represents
three, but I
us.
only had
You
two.
draw a
I was
stick
talking.
man.
He must be some
There
kind of
he is.
controlling host.
All right. There you go. When he talks, then it comes up, big, on my end anyway. So
good.
we just, I'm
Let's do
quite
that.
fortunate that that's
So-
happening.
Zoom.
I'm at a hotel that has some decent internet, because over here sometimes they're going to, Wi-Fi. Oh, no, got them. So yeah, Wi-Fi. What's that? No, got them.
Yeah.
No, it's
So,
very,
Dave-
We're all drinking
big city
pop.
now. So go ahead.
Dave, I was wondering if you can tell us what it's like getting the.
This is so hilarious.
Is it the Royal
Races in
Order
some
of Canada
hotel
or
room
the
on the
Order of
second floor.
Canada?
The Order
Oh,
of Canada. Yeah.
Order.
Or
Yeah.
Solo or
Well, that was
fucking Brazil.
pretty wild because
I'm in a
when
kitchen in a trailer.
they actually phoned me
and
when I
Dave's
was
in
in
the basement of his
Saskatoon,
house. It looks like
and I was having lunch with another
got all this
musician
cool blue stuff
before I
on
was
his
going to drive
posters.
back to
he's
Winnipeg.
like a 16-year-old.
And,
This guy's gonna live
This
forever.
waiter comes over with a phone and says, Dave McLean. I go,
His
oh, man.
basement
Yeah,
is
over here. And
probably
I
not
thought,
changed
this
since he
can't
was a
be good
kid.
if they're tracking me down in a restaurant. I thought somebody died. Somebody died. So
I feel
I
so
said, yeah, right
embarrassed
here.
because a few months ago I
I
was
pick it up
talking
and
to
it's
Dave on the phone,
Steve
and I
Dawson phoning me from Nashville.
thought, okay,
And I had recorded an
Yeah.
album with Steve in
I
Nashville.
thought he was
in
Métis for
2019.
some reason.
And
He says,
he
no,
says,
from his
yeah, I was just talking to the
Icelandic
Governor
roots.
General's office. I think they're going to present you with something. He said,
let's
actually,
check
I
to
was
make
just talking
sure
to the
it's
Governor
on.
General's office. I said, well, I paid my taxes, man. What are they hounding you for? I mean, they're trying to track me down in the United States. It's like they know they got my information. They know where I live. They want to phone me.
That's
Why are
okay.
they phoning you? And he says, I don't know, but
It's
he
holidays.
says I think they're presenting you with the Order of Canada. And I said, well, I'll tell them I'll have a cheeseburger and fries.
Mayonnaise what?
Nice.
What's the Order
There
of
you go.
Canada? I'd never even heard of it. It's like, and then
Right.
somebody told me, I went, oh my gosh, that's absolutely huge. So I was thrilled, and of course in 2019 the pandemic was right in full swing.
Well, you
so
should just
I
tell them
didn't
that
get
you
to go
want
to
to sleep in
Ottawa
their
to
bed.
receive it. They sent me a little pin representing it, but I went this year, or
see what
last
they
year,
say.
2022. I flew
Where?
to Ottawa
Here we
with
go.
my whole family and got presented the Order of Canada from the Governor General. Here, I'll show you. I can do that. I got that
Yeah.
much technology
All
together.
right.
Congratulations, too, man. That's incredible.
You. Yeah. Where is it? Where are you, Governor?
It reminds me of the record you put out, Muddy Waters for President.
Yeah.
And here you are getting an award. What are you thinking of getting into politics?
Where's my camera? There it is. That's me with the Governor General right there. That's the
Right.
Order of Canada on my coat.
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool. And then, what the heck? Stop it. Jesus. Anyway, that's what it is. So that was, I was beyond honored, man. I mean, that was huge. It's a second highest award you can receive as a public, or just as a citizen of Canada. It's like, I think there's a military one that's just as high, but it's the equivalent of Sir Paul McCartney. I thought, oh boy.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's like, I thought
Yes,
that's kind of
sir.
cool. Yeah, that's pretty wicked.
All right.
So I don't want people calling me Sir Nothing, man. Just call me in for breakfast.
So
How about
they
Mr.
got
Prime
send you a
Minister?
big box of money with that?
What's that?
Just curious. They send you a big box of money with that?
No money. Actually, I'm waiting for them to pay for my flights still. I had to put them on my card, and they're supposed to reimburse me, and that was like 8 months ago.
Fine.
So, still waiting. The government works slow. when they owe you money. But if you owe them money, they want it now.
Yeah.
Government works.
We're not going to get into politics, remember, Larry?
No, let's not get into. They're gonna, yeah, because we'll get cut off right away.
Yeah, that's right.
That's good.
Yeah.
And so,
Anyway.
when you did you have to be like
there we go.
born in Canada? Like, where? Tell us a little bit about how you got started and where you're from and everything like that. A lot of people don't know.
Well, I was born in Yorkton, Saskatchewan in 1952. Lived there till I was 4, and then we moved to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. My father was a preacher with the Presbyterian Church, so we moved around a little bit, went there. But I've been in Winnipeg since I was 8 years old, so I mean, I'm a Winnipegger, and my whole career has been out of Winnipeg, you know. And yeah, man, I fell in love with the blues and started listening to it very heavily. And lots of heroes, and I got to meet so many of my heroes before they passed, you know, which I'm thrilled because, you know, a lot of the original Chicago blues guys, you know, I'm so thrilled to meet so many of them, you know. They go all the way back to the 30s. And,
Willie?
But I mean, I was into their heroes
There's something
too.
playing in the background.
Like, you know, talk to Johnny Shines. Well, he loved Blind Lemon Jefferson, you know, and I mean, well, obviously I never got to meet Blind Lemon, but I did get to know Johnny pretty good, you know, and he used to ride the rails with Robert Johnson and Honey Boy
I'm not saying
Edwards and,
anything.
you know, quite a lot of the original Delta guys that came up to Chicago and started
not on
creating the Chicago sound, you know, and it's like, it fascinates me. You know, I'm reading that book, Muddy Waters Mojo Man, right now, which he talks, you know, for like 2 chapters just about the early days in Chicago, where he snuck into clubs when he was too young to be allowed in there. He would, you know, sit under the front steps and listen, stuff. You know, there'd be it's amazing history. That's the one thing I love about blues. You can track it back and back and back, you know, and it's got history, and I like that. You know, and it's the most important history in my life. You know,
But I haven't
I mean,
said any.
I'm
We haven't said it.
fascinated with blues and with the history of it, how it came about. We owe gratitude to, you know,
So-
for creating such a beautiful sound. You know, it's like, it's not the lifestyle that I'm happy about. It's the music that came from the hardships, and you know, yeah, it's very moving. It's real.
Do you remember how you discovered the blues?
Well, pretty much through my brother's record collection. You know, he was a little older than me, and he played guitar. And I was into martial arts at the time, so I didn't really spend much time doing anything else. And my brother had all these. You know, folk records. You know, Pete Seeger, Woody Guthrie, all these guys. But then, you know, he started picking up stuff by Blind Blake, Leadbelly, and a few others. In fact, my brother was so good at playing the 12-string. At the Winnipeg Folk Festival, Pete Seeger was there. And Pete Seeger said to my brother, dummy, he says to my brother, he says, you know, I knew Hughie Ledbetter. He said, he was a good friend of mine. He says, I've heard a lot of people play his songs. He says, I've never heard anybody play the 12-string closer to the Leadbelly style than you. And my brother, oh, thanks, man. And I smacked him in the arm. Did you hear what he said, you idiot? You know, are you listening? You know, you got the father of folk music telling you, you know, the biggest compliment you could probably ever get. And you, oh, yeah, thanks, man. Like a big doofus. But my brother was a great guitar player. He's gone now, but he played Blind Blake. He played, you know, he did tunes by Fats Waller. He did tunes by, you know, all kinds of different styles, you know, of the early jazz guys and the early, you know, early blues guys. But it was through his record collection. You know, I'd be listening to Bob Dylan or something, and then he put on a Lead Belly tune. And I go, oh boy, I like that. What is that? You know. And next thing you know, I started getting tipped off as guys to listen to a little bit. You know. So I was listening to the folk guys, and we went to Mariposa in 1969, or actually, I guess I was corrected in 72. And John Hammond was playing there with Leon Redbone and Roosevelt Sykes and a whole bunch of guys in a blues workshop. And I'd never heard of any of these guys, you know, but we went there because we heard Bob Dylan was going to show up and Joni Mitchell and all these people were going to be there. So we thought, well, let's, we'll take the train down to Toronto and catch this. And I had like a $5 Kent guitar, which was just a piece of crap. But I thought, I didn't know how to play one chord on it, but I just thought, well, it'd be a good way to meet girls. You know, I got a guitar. You know, maybe they can play it. So I said, or we went to see the blues workshop, and Hammond, I had to go to the bathroom. I stood up and I was walking to go to the porta potties, and Hammond was just starting into preaching blues, Robert Johnson, the way he does it. And he's just chugging on that National Steel, and the passion and heart and soul he put into playing, preaching blues. I stopped dead in my tracks on the way to the can. I don't know if I pissed myself or not, but it's like, you know, I just stopped dead in my tracks. I turned around and I thought, what the hell is that? What are you playing?
How do you do? I just peed in my pants.
Oh man! Well, no, okay, yeah, don't mind me. Yeah, don't mind the guy behind the curtain, that wet curtain. I said, this is phenomenal. I thought, wow. And then later that afternoon, John was sitting under a tree. And I walked over, and I didn't want to act like a crazy, I'm your biggest fan, blah, blah. You know, I just walked over and I said, excuse me, sir. And I said, this is the first time I've had the pleasure of hearing your music. And what were you playing? You were playing the slide thing on your finger. You were playing this metal guitar. And I said, man, you moved me so deeply. I told him, I said, I was on my way to the can. I don't know if I made it or not. I don't remember that part. But I said, that was so incredible. And I had my little Kent guitar, and I said, would it be a problem to, just give me a tip on what to do with this thing? I don't know how to play anything. So he threw it into open D for me, and he showed me the simplest version of how to play I'm a Man by Bo Diddley. And
wow,
that got me hooked right there. I thought,
wow.
I went home and I drove my parents absolutely nuts playing it over and over. Bum, 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 bum. I played that for about 6 months without even going to the floor. It was moving, and since then, John, I got to meet him many times, in workshops and stuff, and we became, very, very good friends. And I got to meet so many players, and same as I used to do weeks with Roosevelt Sykes here in Winnipeg. I'd do an opening set, and then he'd come out and he'd close it down, man. He'd just blow the back off of everything. And I mean, it was such a thrill, and so many of those guys. And then finally, I got to meet Muddy, so the electric guys came a little later for me because I was steeped in the Delta. I wanted to hear, Sleepy John Estes and the Book of Waves. And I mean, I got stories on all those guys too, man. It's like just such a wonderful time and such a wonderful music to be able to track and meet the, I was so thrilled. Here I am sitting beside Johnny Shines. I'd listened to his records over and over and over. Now I can smell the sweat under his arm, It's like I'm going, we're in the sun and he's sweating and I can smell it, and I'm going, this is incredible. I'm so moved. I was so moved by by the pleasure of meeting up with these folks, you know. And then I got into the real meat and potatoes, and I met, you know, guys like Maurice John Vaughn, man, playing saxophone and guitar, and just absolutely commanding the audience, you know. When you played at the Edmonton Blues Festival, and Shamika Copeland was there, and a bunch of others folks, and man, you blew my mind. You had such a command over how you delivered your show, and I mean there was humor involved, but man, there was some smoking blues being played. You know, that's when I knew, oh, I'm in the right place at the right time.
There you go.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's like I feel I've been blessed with how many of the heroes of mine I got to meet. You know, Robert Junior Lockwood, all the old guys, and then a lot of the new guys too. You know, James Cotton. You know, all kinds of cats.
Well, that's a big part of what we're trying to do with the Cheese Toast Talk Show is we really want the young up and coming players to know what it's really all about. And so,
well, that's it, man. You got to tell them to do their homework. You know, there's so many young guys that say, "Oh yeah, no blues, I like it." Yeah, it started with Stevie. And I went, no, actually, it goes back a little further. And Stevie would have been the first one to tell you that. He'd say, "No, go listen to some Albert King. Listen to some Otis Rush, you know, listen to some Magic Sam." You know, it's like there's, I think one of the coolest things I ever saw was a book that had Muddy Waters in the middle, and then it had a spider web branching out from Muddy over all the years from 1915 up to 1983, you know, and it showed his life, where he met, you know, where he started playing with Son Sims, you know, in the 30s, and then it had everybody branched out on this little spider web of, you know, when they tied in with Muddy, it had all the harp players, all the guitar players, all the drummers, piano players, and it was like phenomenal. You know, it's like just a who's who, everybody, you know, and I mean that's fascinating, you know, to me anyway. You know, it's like looking up at your family tree, you know. It's like, well,
the Blues family. The family tree, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what it was, exactly what it was like, you know, because he met this guy and that guy played with this guy, and then just branched out, you know, like a great big tree, you know, or spider web is what I thought of. But yeah, you bet.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I can remember when I first got into the music that the people that really shared the music were the blues guys.
Yeah, it's true. The blues people are the most real, down to earth people I've come across. But I mean, you know, there's a lot of great country folks too, you know, in the country scene that are real people. It's like us or don't bother coming around us, because we're not changing. You know?
Right.
We're going to be who we are, and it's like, you know, I hope you like that. You know, we'll accept you into the crowd if you want, but if all you want to do is diss us, and carry on, go somewhere else. You know. Mm-hmm. But you know, and then of course there's always if you go back far enough, you know, there's always the racial discrimination before civil rights, all that. I remember Charles Brown and Ruth Brown talking about how hard it was to tour the South, you know, with an all black band and playing in clubs, you know, where they were accepted, but getting to those clubs, just going to get past the gas station, you know, where the guy pumping gas doesn't want to pump gas for you. You know, it's like, you can't drink out of that water fountain. You got to go over there. You can't use that bathroom. You got to go over there. You know, I remember reading about Deford Bailey, who was like probably the most accepted or the most popular harmonica player at the Ryman Theater in Nashville. You know, the old, Grand Ole Opry. And it's like, he was the most popular guy for a while. and they made him come in the back door. They wouldn't even let him in through the front door. Yet he drew more people than anyone, to the Ryman. And I just thought, man, that's messed up. So I mean, well, we could go on about that for a month, but
it's good.
Just getting to the blues, though, it's like that's what I mean. It has a history that has humor. It has a history that has tragedy. It has a history that will uplift you. It has a history that'll make you cry. And it's like I find that in that style of music more than any other. That's how it affects me. And it's like my mother was a classical pianist. And, she got to play for Princess Margaret and all kinds of folks. But it's like, she had the same kind of feelings towards classical, like when she played Beethoven, she wanted to feel that piece. She didn't want to play by numbers, like you paint by numbers. So many guys, they say, well, who can't play blues? And I'll say, well, just judging by your statement, I would say you. That's who. It's like, man, you got to feel it. You got to know it. You got to get inside. You got to be touched by it. It's like you don't have to go to prison. You don't have to plow the field or pick cotton. But I mean, you do have to relate. You do have to understand. You got to get it. And there's so many guys out there that just don't get it, and that.
The blues is such sad music. How often have you heard that?
Oh yeah, and I say, well, they say I don't like blues. I say, well, what kind? Which one don't you like? I said, there's a lot of different styles of blues. Just and they're what? Because they're ignorant to the facts of how big and how huge it is, and what an influence on absolutely every other style of music it has had, and that's the thing right there too.
I think there's a lot of people in the world that don't want to feel their feelings, and sometimes when they hear the blues, it brings something out of them that they try to keep suppressed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's true.
Absolutely. It's true.
But they end up sticking around to hear someone like Maurice or yourself, and they go home feeling better than they felt for a long time.
Well, the blues uplifts you. It's like, especially when you're feeling sad. That's when I like to slap it on, It's like, and I'll tell you, you've read it. It's a breath of fresh air. It's a comfort. It's like I quit drinking a long time ago, and I find that just hearing the music moves me better than taking a shot of something. So that's how it affects me anyway. I can only speak for myself. I'm just a guy.
What was it like when Muddy Waters came to play? And I believe you opened up for Muddy Waters.
I've opened for Muddy a few times, yeah. And some of the best memories of my life in the music. It's like it was such a thrill. And I got some good stories about Muddy. But it was wonderful. And so many of the cats. Muddy was probably the biggest influence on my life, because I would sit up with him, in the dressing room afterwards, and we'd be drinking and talking, and I'd tell him jokes, and he'd tell me life stories and give me advice. And I'll tell you, some of the advice he gave me is solid gold, man. It's like, he really laid it out, and he was such a sweetheart of a man. And he, everybody respected Muddy. One of the things that moved me the most when I first met him in '77, I opened for him at the Winnipeg Concert Hall as a solo act. And he said for me to come to his dressing room. And when I was in there, there was a bunch of guys from different recording outfits that were really playing up the role. They're wearing the gold chains, you know. They got a trophy girl on their arm, you know, smoking a cigar. And, hey, Marty, yeah, you know. And this little kid came in the dressing room who worked for the concert hall. And I mean, I love this story because this kid, you know, he was like 16, 17 years old, I guess. And he's just making sure that all the food is out on the table, and all, you know, the garbage can is packed with beer for the band, and Pine Top and Muddy got their bottle of Cavassier, you know, and you know, they wanted to just make sure everything is fine. And nobody paid any attention to this kid. He was just a fly on the wall because, you know, why? I mean, he's just a kid who works for the concert hall. You know, he's a nobody as far as everybody's concerned. When he came in, Muddy zoned right in on him. And he walked over and he said, "Excuse me there, buddy." He says, "Would you like beer?" He goes, "Oh, no, sir. I can't drink." He says, "Do you know who I am?" And the kid says, "You're playing here tonight?" And Muddy says, "Yes, I am." He says, "I'm Muddy Mississippi Waters. And let me tell you, if you want to drink, I can make that happen." He said, "Don't you worry about it. You can have a beer if you want a beer." And he goes, "Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you, sir." You know, and then he says, "Would you like a sandwich?" He says, "Oh, no, I'm fine." And right then, one of these record guys is going, Muddy, over here, man, Muddy. And Muddy turns to him and he says, "I'll be with you in a minute. I'm talking to this man right here." You know, and this kid's chest just pumped right up. You know, it's like, wow. You know,
Yeah.
He thought that was so cool. Because, I mean, Muddy, you know, like I said, I'm reading this book on him, and it's like he came from nothing, man. He had a grade 3 education, and he stayed illiterate most of his life. But he knew how to sign his autograph and a couple of sentences. But in 77, he had the promoter